Welcome to the podcast, A Drink with Derek. Follow comedian Derek Richards on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe to his YouTube channel and watch all episodes of the podcast. Now grab a drink and join your host, Derek Richards.
Hey, you should grab a drink and join me. It's Derek Richards here in Las Vegas. Welcome to the podcast, A Drink with Derek. So happy to have you on board with me today. I'm excited. It's September here in Las Vegas, which means the temperatures are no longer 118. They're now like 103, which sounds weird to anybody else on the planet, but that is actually markedly more tolerable. And it's also football season. Hockey season's coming up here too, so I'm very excited for all this to get cranking up here. And I've got some dates I'm going to be on the road again. I'm going to be in Lakeland, Florida, coming up on September the 9th over at the Winter Circle. Fun place. And then September 10th, I'll be at the Sunrise Black Box Theater over in Fort Pierce, Florida. Go to my website, derekrichards.com, to go ahead and get tickets and info for all the upcoming shows. And also fun gig coming up here September 30th and October 1st with comedian Dave Landau. Going to be in Lexington, Michigan on September 30th at the Lexington Village Theater. There's only about 20 tickets left for that show. And then on October the 1st, which is a Saturday, Bay City, Michigan at the State Theater. You can still get tickets for that. Go to my website again, derekrichards.com. Myself, along with Dave Landau, going to be an absolute fantastic time. Also, while you're screwing around on the interwebs, grab a copy of my album, Double Down, which is available on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon. You can also hear it on SiriusXM satellite radio, Pandora, and all the just type it in. All right, type it in. It's going to be there. It pops up all over the place. It's like herpes and monkeypox. Horrible example. My guest today is in Indiana, not in Las Vegas. I wish he was out here. It'd be great to hang out with him. Comedian Jeff Bodart, he has been making a name for himself doing comedy for over 21 years. He has 2 albums out, one called They're Still in the Can and Adorable and Affordable, which you can find on iTunes and Amazon. He's also on Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines as one of the headline comedians. You may have seen Jeff on the Comcast Cable Network, WB or Fox TV, also SiriusXM satellite radio. He's got some acting projects that he's done on Sci-Fi. We're going to talk about that. Also a couple of independent films as well. He is here now. Find him online, jeffbodart.com. Jeff Bodart is here with A Drink with Derek.
You know, she just said, she's like, I just love that new 21 Pilots song. I don't know what the fuck you just said. Something about pilots. Did your pilot light go out? Is that what you're trying to say? Did you need to light your pilot light? I don't know how to do it. I could watch a YouTube clip. And, you know what? I'll probably still call my dad. I didn't come over and like. I think it's harder today as you get older. It really is. I was texting a girl not too long ago, and I shouldn't have been. I was just flirting with her, just trying to get my swerve on. But I said swerve, okay? I heard one thing that was kind of cool when I was 14. I was like, I'll use that forever. So I was flirting with her, and I got auto-corrected, and that can go to hell. Autocorrect was invented by a demon to piss me off, but the word adorable got switched to affordable. So, if you're keeping up, the message was, you look so affordable. I'm doing, yeah, send. Let's go with that, And sometimes on dates, women have silly questions, and I'm not discounting anything that women go through with guys, I can't imagine. But sometimes a woman will ask a silly question like, are you pretty sexually active? I don't know what qualifies active. I mean, a paper shredder doesn't start working until you put paper in it. And that's always turned on. So. We don't have paper shredders, sir. We got burn barrels. You talking about burn barrel? We got a burn barrel. Everybody on burn barrel. Things change change as you get older. You know, even I don't know this. Even your digestion changes as you get older. I didn't know that until I'm in the 40s. Like, I understand that I'm a big guy, but I can't eat some of my favorite foods anymore because it fucking hurts. Like, my stomach hurts and my chest hurts. Everything's on fire now on the inside. You know, I can't have anything remotely spicy, you know, and I can't drink milk to put the fire out anymore because then I'll just start shitting my pants. I don't know when that started, you know. That was a weird day. I think I'm leaking. I thought I was gassy before in my 20s, but I woke up as a 40-year-old and my blanket was on the ceiling fan. I didn't kick it up there. Some sort of propulsion had to get it up there. Some sort of blowback from something. I don't know. Maybe crack the window, relieve the pressure in the. I don't know. I mean, like when a tornado comes, gotta crack the window, relieve the pressure in the room. I mean, I'm no gastrometeorologist. I don't know what I'm doing, but I told a buddy of mine, he's like, why do you sleep on your back? Well, then I'm levitating, you know, like, I think my ass is haunted when I wake up midair,
you know. Isn't it fun to watch yourself?
It is. It's fun, and it's also kind of painful at the same time. But yeah. Because we're all critical of ourselves, you know? Comedians are just critical of ourselves, so... Because I was thinking, I tag that bit differently now. So, you know?
Well, yeah, I know. Anytime you have a video that's longer than, you know, typically a couple months old, you go back and look at it and go, oh, geez, I could, you know, I do this now. I word it differently. I put this here. I hate that thing. Which, by the way, kudos for you, by the way, recording that set in front of a bunch of women that were apparently... at a B-52's lookalike contest because they all had all their hair wet. I was cracking up when you had sent the video over and I'm looking, I go, this has got to be, because the set was fantastic. But as a comedian, you're watching this going, how did I possibly get every waitress known to man with all their hair put up in this big beehive bun right in front of the camera?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like
which is so funny because
like, oh, let me just pile it on top.
And hang on, because I know Jeff's recording. Let me make sure I'm in section 3, right in the middle.
Yeah,
so funny, man. Good to see you, my friend Jeff Bodart in Indiana. You're right outside of Indianapolis. You're in down in Columbus, Indiana, if I'm not mistaken.
Columbus, Indiana. Yeah, that's we're ranked 6th in the country for architecture. I tell everybody that because there's a lot of civic pride going on over here, but they haven't updated that statistic since 1993. So we're hanging on to it.
So you may have fallen, is what you're saying.
we may have, you know, we don't know what's going on in Dubuque, Iowa. Maybe they overtook us, you know.
Who cares? Who cares what goes on in Dubuque, Iowa?
You know what? IMK does not.
I don't think Dubuque, Iowa cares what's going on in Dubuque, Iowa, to be honest with you.
You're not wrong.
What I always like to do to start off an episode is get some information on some people, kind of run some random questions by you so that the audience gets a feel for who I'm dealing with. So I'm going to ask you some random questions, fill in the blank. There is no wrong answer. It is just Jeff Bodart's answer. So here we go.
That's right.
A couple random questions here. A romantic candlelit dinner would be incomplete without blank.
Oh.
A romantic candlelit dinner would be incomplete without blank.
Without probably a date, you know.
What helps Joe Biden unwind?
What helps Joe Biden unwind? I think maybe one of those Kids First books. I don't really know. Like maybe something.
One
something
fish,
from the
fish,
Golden
red
series.
Fish, blue fish.
Yeah. Well, he's got to work on those cognitive abilities.
Exactly. And then finally, when I have sex, sometimes my mind thinks about blank.
making this feel good for her. I don't know.
I love your
Making
just that reluctant answer. I'm making this feel good for her.
Yeah, it's more. There's just so much Catholic guilt running through my brain most of the time during those situations because they did a number on me as a kid.
Well, now you talk about. It's funny you mentioned that because you mentioned that you come from you have a biblically named family.
Oh yeah.
What's that about? You're the youngest of this biblically named family.
I am the youngest. Yeah. So I have a whole like 5-minute bit I do on stage about this. But basically, when I was in 7th grade and I went to Catholic school and I'm in religion class, which is there's apparently just the one religion in Catholic school. But I'm sitting there and we're talking about Bible names and like, oh, do we have a Bible name? And I figured out that I don't have a Bible name. Jeffrey is not a Bible name, and my middle name is Mitchell. Again, not a Bible name. But then I started thinking about other people in my family, like, oh, my mother's name is Mary. My father's name is Joseph. And I'm like, wait a second. Are you kidding me? And I go, and then my oldest brother is Christopher. And then I was like, the root word of that is Christ. And I was like, son of a bitch. And then my middle brother is Michael. And if you're Catholic, Saint Michael is pretty key in the Catholic religion. Because he's the archangel, he fought Satan. And then you get to the third born, and I go, what do you got left? Jeff. Like, that's it. I got screwed,
Yeah, Michael's kind of like the Tom Brady.
Yeah. And the thing is, my mom...
Yeah, if you're going to compare them, yeah.
Yeah, my mom wanted to name me Gregory, and my dad didn't like that. And my dad wanted to name me David, and my mom didn't like that. And so they just settled on Jeffrey, and then my father not realizing there's already a Jeff Bodart in the family.
Was another brother that you had, and he forgot that he existed?
No.
Was that what you're saying?
No, God, I hope not. There's a cousin, and I think he unfortunately has passed away not too long ago. But yeah. I mean, and my dad. Oh, I forgot about that. It's like, well, all right. Well, thanks for giving me somebody else's identity, sir. So,
Well, maybe here's the thing. Look at it this way. Maybe your dad didn't like the other Jeff Bodart and was trying to replace the image of that guy with you. He's like, listen, this one has got to be a better version of that one. So
gotta be. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's the whole thing. I mean, my father said so many. I would not be surprised because he said some weird things to me over the years. Like I'm not trying to do a bit, but I'm just saying like I was held back in the 3rd grade, and so and again, it's not really a bit. I go, but my dad started telling people that he was redshirting me, so didn't want to tell people that I was held back. Nah, we're gonna redshirt him this year.
That's funny. That's very, very funny. I like that.
But it's true, yeah.
Instead of being held back, you're redshirted.
Yeah, he wanted to. Yeah, we're gonna give him a year to catch up.
That's so funny. He's got to learn the playbook. He just didn't. In my playbook, I mean spelling.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, he can't even spell the word camera yet.
You started comedy back in 2001. Everybody always asks whenever you hear interviews, they're like, "Oh, what comedian were you always, watching? Who did you want to be like?" I always like asking, "What comic did you not want to be like?"
Oh wow, I hate to say this because I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I did not want to be Carrot Top.
Right,
I mean, but that's the whole stereotype, But then that's when I started. But then you sort of re-examine, you know what? That shit's funny. I mean, that stuff's really good. And then and I also didn't want to be Gallagher, but those are the two big ones.
That one is now because for some odd reason, and I don't know why. And Carrot Top, who is very, very funny and writes like crazy. I mean, he still performs out here in Las Vegas. He writes like a machine, constantly putting new bits and new new props and new things in his act, and he builds all that stuff himself. And so it just seemed like for years, Carrot Top was just a generic punching bag for comedians. It's like, oh, you got a Carrot Top, and it's like, and it was easy. It was low hanging fruit because everybody like jumped on that bandwagon. But the guy's made a ridiculous amount of money. His shows are packed every night. He goes on the road. He does very, very well. Now Gallagher, I can completely understand because he is an absolute lunatic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was. My home club is Crackers in Indianapolis, and many years ago, I was. I think I was just featuring, and then I looked right in the front row, Gallagher, right there in the front, and I don't know what he was doing there, but he would show up for like several weeks at different people's shows, so he must have just been passing through. But it was so odd to see Gallagher sitting in the front row. And then I was like, oh, is he writing shit down? Maybe don't write stuff down. So
he actually, and he looks just like he did years ago. He still wears that same stupid hat. He walks around wearing this, like the striped shirt that he wore on stage. And then somebody told me he was working at a club, and he was in the parking lot. He was doing his laundry. Like he was washing his laundry on the hose and like hanging it on the car door. And someone said, we can take you to a laundromat to do your laundry. He goes, no, I'm good.
Oh,
just
my God.
Bizarre, just an odd bird. So, no, it's, interesting. Because I remember watching Gallagher years and years ago on television. And the guy's smashing watermelons. I'm like, oh, well, this is, when you're a kid and you see somebody smashing a watermelon, you're like, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Why am I watching
this? Yeah, as an adult, I watch some of those old videos. I go, why did I ever find that amusing at all?
Yeah, it was like a 20, 25 minute closer of just smashing stuff.
Smashing stuff every time he eats. Well, I mean, the only people that were happy about that bit were, Trader Joe's.
Yeah, God, if you want to get some high end watermelons, you go to Trader Joe's.
You want to get some organic watermelons because you don't want to spray pesticides on your audience. Why would you want to?
Oh, God, no.
What best drunk story that you were a part of?
Oh.
And you and I have just had a couple cocktails. I haven't known you to be a big drinker, but I mean, I'm sure you've got a story that you were either involved with personally, or you had you were in, I should say, within shrapnel range of this story happening.
Yeah, when I had just turned 21, like a day or two after I turned 21, I went to go visit my cousin Adam, who was a tennis player in Bloomington, Indiana, at Indiana University, and he was he's still a handsome guy, but even back in college, he was a real handsome guy, and so he had a lot of friends, a lot of girls around him, and so we were at his apartment complex, and he goes, "Hey, you do a British accent, right?" And I go, "Yeah, I mean it's passable," and then so he goes, "Hey, let's," and so we'd been drinking all morning. I mean, it was like literally 9 a.m. drinking, and then finally around noon we're still drinking, and then he goes, "Okay, the next girl that comes by, let's say you are Gavin Montgomery, you are the son of golfer Colin Montgomery," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's something to work with." So this girl comes up, and I go, "Hello, it's great to meet you. I'm Gavin Montgomery," and just the dumbest accent I could do. And it's not even, I mean, I probably used to do a little better, but she's woken up saying she's talking to me, and she's, "Hello, it's just nice to meet you too." I'm like, "Oh, it's great." And I go, what are you eating?" And she's eating cereal out of a box, just out of the box. I go, "What is that?" I go, "Is that fruit? What is that? Fruit Loops?" Well, we got one back in England. It's called Fruity Hoops. It's different. It's as if it's a different name. And then she asked me who I am, and then, "Oh, this is the son of that golfer Colin Montgomery." And then the next question is, "Do you have an elevator in your house?" And I go, "What? How was that the next question?" So, and then she goes, and I go, and I'm like, "Oh, I'll just go with it because yes, and that's the rule." And I go, "Yeah, it's just for servants with bed sheets and things." And it was the dumbest thing I probably have done, but it was fun, but not too much debauchery. But there's a lot of drinking involved. And then finally, we go out later that night. I ended up puking inside the club, which is apparently you don't do that. But it was in a trash can. Wasn't like I did anything bad. And the guy he goes, "Hey, you got to go outside." Do what?
You're not a barnyard animal. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, exactly.
Just throw up on the floor. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So nothing happened. So you told the girl that you've got an elevator in your house. You're using this horrifically bad Spinal Tap accent on her, and for some odd reason, you didn't close the deal.
No, I couldn't even get her number, and I was like, and I was much thinner than then. I was very cute. But
she's
I was
eating
out there with
she's eating cereal out of a box. You could have taken her anywhere.
I know. I was out there with my nice cargo pants on.
You could have hit the Arby's drive-thru and you would have been highfalutin.
I know, right? Exactly. And I couldn't get a number, and she goes, "Well, I guess I'll see you later." And I go, "Oh, all right, well."
Does your house
probably not?
Does your house have an elevator? Does your house have an elevator? We take it to a Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
She's like, "Is your house?" Yeah, I live here. I'm on the third floor. My house technically has an elevator. Well, why do you gotta be such a horrible human being?
It was just dumb.
You just started working the cruise ships here, and just this past year. What was your biggest surprise doing shows in that environment?
The biggest surprise was probably how much material overall that you need to do those shows. But then again, being told by, as you know, our cruise agent, David, was like, "Hey, if you slowed down, because you talk really fast, if you slowed down, you could actually stretch that into way more material." And he's totally right. And I think you even mentioned it too at one point. But yeah, I talk too fast on stage because I've always been like, I have so much material to get to. I just want to get to all of it. But then on those, you're like, well, slower pacing is your friend, because they're usually older people, or they're drunk, or they're tired because they've been in port all day. And so you do need to be slower and pace yourself and enunciate clearly. And then your material stretches. So it turns out I have a bunch more material than I thought I had. So
turns out you have 7 days of material. You had no idea. You've been cramming it into 45 to 60-minute headline sets.
Oh, yeah. There was a guy I did a show a few years ago, and I was at a bar up in northern Indiana. I get off stage, and the guy comes up and goes, "Man, you are so funny, and you're so fast." And I go, "You were correct on both." And then he goes, "You're like a Gatling gun." He's like, "You're a Gatling gun." And I go, "Oh, yeah, thank you." He's like, "You just don't quit." And I go, "You know where that comes from, right?" And he goes, "No, where?" And I go, "Insecurity."
I've never heard that. I've never heard it framed like that. How do you figure insecurity? You mean the fact that you're like, listen, if I pause and for some odd reason they're not laughing, I'm gonna freak out?
Kinda. It's like I don't like. I'm better now with quiet moments, because that's what gives you an appearance of like thought, and like this guy, has deep thoughts. I don't like quiet spots. So I feel like I always have to keep it going. And then now I've embraced that, and then you get a bigger laugh because the timing is you let it marinate a little longer.
Right.
And then the punch is harder.
Well, because when you watch somebody, and just when you think about how your brain works, if you're just a casual spectator and you're watching somebody perform and you hear something come in, it takes a second or two for it to, hit your brain, register. And especially if you're doing anything that's going to involve, an extra beat or two of thought to go, oh, okay, I get it. Because and somebody told me this before too. They said, listen, you obviously know what the punchline is. You know the payoff, but the audience doesn't know the payoff. And sometimes it takes them literally an extra couple of seconds to process it, because again, they're sitting there, they're engaged, but you can't assume that everybody is completely 100% engaged in you. They're having cocktails. Right. They're ordering more drinks. The cheese sticks just arrived. So it's a whole different dynamic of what's going on in a comedy club. Obviously, in a theater, it's a different setting, especially on a cruise ship where you hope people are sitting there paying attention. But like you said, they're tired. They've been in port all day. They're sunburnt. They got the drink package. They're hammered.
Yeah. And like if you're in a theater or even a comedy club setting, if you don't give them a chance to breathe and or process what you just said, they don't even have time to like look at their friend, like tap him on the shoulder, like, oh, did you just hear what he said? Oh my God, that's hilarious. Right. And it's like you need to give them a chance to sort of take it all in and digest it and laugh, but also like understand what's going on and then start the next bit.
Yeah, because you also don't want to step on your own laugh too. It's like if they're laughing and having a good time, it's like, you know what? Hey, all right, take a second, and you guys are all into this. Cool. Let me get a drink of water, or just kind of take a deep breath, and then lock and load for the next set.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What we've all had stories about some kind of a lunatic fan at a show. Any crazy fan stories?
Not
on your end.
I mean, there was. I have a fan or two. I mean, I have fans. It's weird, but I have a few, like 3-4 dedicated fans, and I just want to go, why? I mean, but they drive.
That helps build your fan base. We really love you. We've seen you 5 times. Why? I don't understand you. There's 800 channels on television. There's the internet. There's a backyard. Go play. Do something.
Yeah. Well, he drives like 5 hours to come see. And I'm like, oh my. I mean, I thank you very much for coming. But he's like, yeah, I'm going to come see you. I'm like, oh, I was in the area. I'm going to come to your show. And I'm like, I love that. I mean, I have fans, but also some who are just, like I said, are just really dedicated. And I feel really lucky about that. But then years and years ago, there was a woman who used to come to all the local shows in Indy, and I don't know that she was a fan.
This is a good story. This is the one I'm waiting for. All right,
so
here we go.
She would come to these shows, and she'd come to all the locals, but there were 3 or 4 of us that she'd see a lot, and she'd come out to these local shows, and she would have it was before cameras were on phones. She had an actual, camera. And then she would like, can we get a picture? And we're like, okay. And so she's shaking, like nervous. And I'm, what are you nervous about? And then she's holding out her thing, but she has to like, let me see if I can get it on camera here. So she has to like take the picture cockeyed like that. And so It has to be at an angle. Like every picture with any comic was always at an angle. I'm like, that's a very odd thing. And she was always clammy. Like her skin was like, you put your arm around her to get, oh, we're going to take a picture. She's always clammy and nervous. And she said maybe 3 words. Maybe, can I get a picture? But it was just not crazy, but just odd. But I don't really have a lot of like crazy fans or crazy like, I mean, maybe, but there's certainly some interesting people. Out.
So how long did you and Clammy Lady date then?
7 months. She was real damp for a reason, everybody.
Oh, she was always moist. Come on.
That's a great bit. It's a great bit. I'm calling
too easy.
Yeah, calling backbone bit.
She's always moist. You've done some acting. You were in a sci-fi movie called Gila, which was a remake of a movie back in, what was it, 1959 classic, I believe. The giant Gila. Yeah, the giant Gila monster. You were in Gila. What were you? in Gila?
I played. Apparently, I didn't know my name at the time, but I looked him up on IMDb. But I played a guy named Ben Sherman, who was an ambulance driver. But I mean, I had a full on scene with Terrence Knox.
I've heard the name.
He was in I think, I don't know, Apocalypse Now. I don't know but he was in like Saint Elsewhere, and he was in a lot of shows. And so I walk into scene, and do we do this back and forth? And he played a sheriff, I played the ambulance driver, and I mean it was a good scene for me. I mean, it was my first like real like acting work, and it's fun to exercise that muscle, the acting muscle. I really enjoy that. I mean,
Now, was Terrence
it's fun to sort of just God, he was so clammy. His holster was real clammy too. I don't know what the deal was, but
the worst. Listen, I don't want to hear what you did in the trailer. That's none of my business.
we did have to go to a trailer, and then we rehearsed the scene. I don't know why. I mean, my pants were off the whole time, but we did have to. We had to rehearse, and he was a nice guy. He's very gentle.
Explains your short-lived movie career.
Exactly. I've only been in 3, so.
Pants Down and Clammy. That should be the name of your next album.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I was gonna go with Tenuous Setups, but I go with this one.
Yeah, whatever. Well, you also did a couple of other independent film projects here too. What did you love and hate about those? About the whole process?
The independent ones, they're all, I guess, all 3 were, I guess, independent. But I really enjoyed Dandelion Dreams, which is it's a serious, but I played sort of the comic relief in the movie. It's sort of one of those lesson movies about accepting people for who they are, kind of thing. And so I was sort of the comic relief. But I just loved being on set and not quite ready for my scene, but they still wanted me around for the scene coming up. And it was just kind of fun hanging out. And then I probably shouldn't be doing stuff like this, but the director's like, quiet on set, please. And I'm like, yeah, quiet down, everybody. Yeah, get your shit together, quiet down. So it was just dumb stuff I was doing in the peripheral. Just sure. and I'm like, why do they let me around? I don't understand. Why am I allowed? But it was just fun. Now the director of Gila I didn't like him all that well, to be honest. It was my first experience witnessing somebody that was very temperamental and had a big ego, and I think it felt like it was for show. Right. So like he's directed a bunch of like kind of big name B movies. Right. But it was like, it's like, we're the prop guys. And we're all like, you sent them to the prop truck. You just literally like a minute ago. So right. It was stuff like that. I think it was all just for show.
Yeah, some of that stuff too. I mean, I know that they're also working on timetables and you've got money involved. And so sometimes, yeah, in that case where he just sent somebody out to the prop truck and you're yelling for him, it's like, okay, the prop truck is a quarter of a mile away.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like, it was like right there. It was like, it's right there. And you can see the guys, they're walking up the ramp to get in the truck. And it was just, and like when we were filming my scene and he's like, Jeff, I just need you to rock into the scene, like just lean forward into the camera view and then say your line. And then I would mess it up and he's like, come on, Jeff. And I'm like, what? This is my first time. So, and I would say my line and he was like, we could drive a truck through those pauses, Jeff. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. Okay, fine.
Wow,
and then
yeah.
And then I'd say the line and then it would be good. And he goes, well, that was a down payment on good. And I go,
ooh, wow.
And I go,
that's kind of that's a douche move.
Yeah, right. I was like, I'm like, this feels rude. So what do you,
everybody's got their
what
own
do you
style.
do?
I mean, that's one of those. Yeah, that's one of those things where it's you look at a coach on a football team, and some guys coach through yelling at somebody like that, and other guys are going, "Hey, listen, all right, you can do a little bit better," and then you've got the complete, the complete pansy coach who gives everybody a trophy at the end.
Yeah. It was weird because when we got to the end and I'm like, hey, was that okay? He goes, oh, yeah, it was great. And I'm like, why were you a dick in front of everybody, though?
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't motivate me. I mean, again, you can be a leader and not be a complete douchebag. So that kind of, when you look at great coaches through the years, you never heard stories of like, Tom Landry, coach of the Cowboys, acting like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, everybody motivates people through different methods, and everybody's got their own way of doing things. And I mean, I guess at the end of the day, if the project came out looking good, then you go, all right, well, I guess this guy, he knows what he's doing. I guess him yelling like a complete idiot motivates everybody else to get things done in a timely fashion. So it's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I did this one thing called Microwave Time Machine, and it was just a quick 5-minute movie or 6-minute movie because they entered it in a local contest or something. It toured a couple places, but that was fun because I just kind of got to improvise some stuff. They basically said, here are the lines. Just get to this idea and then just do whatever you want. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why can't we just do this every time? So, but that was a lot of fun because I get so stuck on like, I got to get these lines out. So, but you learn.
That's good. Great experience. Like you said, it's a good. Well, and it's good to be, like you said, to be able to exercise those the acting muscles, which is always a good thing.
Absolutely.
Jeff Bodart, find him online at jeffbodart.com. What's the biggest mistake that you see comedians do today?
There is a little thing that I think as far as like performance goes, or just in general.
In general. Whether it can be comics that have been at it for a while, or guys or women that are coming up now.
Well, there's a couple of different things. And I still see comics who are veterans doing this, but they basically ask a question. Like every bit is asking a question to get into the bit.
Right.
Just do it. Just get into the bit. You don't need to ask some arbitrary question of the crowd, and then you don't even let them answer first of all, and then you just go in like just go into the bit. You don't need to do that every time. Every once in a while, that's fine, especially if you maybe get a response on something, and then you can react to that, and then do the bit. So that's kind of like people who aren't comics don't know. That's kind of pretty much how crowd work happens. You know where you're gonna go. But also ask the question, get the response, and then see what you can make of that, and then just go into the bit. So and then there's a lot of like, but there's of course the newbie stuff of like winding the mic cord around your wrist or arm or whatever, and I'm like, just stop, just stop. That stuff just drives me crazy. It's like, put it down. And move the mic stand out of the way when you out, because they're just staring at the mic stand right in front of you as you're performing. So it's just like little things that irritate me. But also, I guess a bigger one is if you're going to be quote unquote offensive, if you just be offensive. Don't do it and then face backlash. You're like, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't do that. Like, it's a joke. We all get it.
Own it.
But own it. Just, you don't need to apologize for everything. And if you feel like you have to apologize for doing a bit, then maybe you shouldn't have done it. I don't know. It's like you should know as a comic what's maybe going to be acceptable. But if you're just going to be offensive, be offensive.
Right.
Like Anthony Jeselnik, I think, is hilarious. He's super dark. And if that's your persona, if that's your style, it's okay. That's great. Do that. People, I think the problem is people don't know how to just not like be rude to, like, if you don't like them, don't watch them.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. Just turn it off, or don't go to that guy's show, or the comedian show, something.
Well, I think it's also a lot about you finding your audience, because in the process of you finding your audience, finding the people that want to come and see you, you're going to alienate some people, and there's nothing wrong with that. Listen, the first time Motley Crue went up and played a gig and no one knew who they were, there was probably people that ended up walking out of the show. And listen, that's just all part of the process. It doesn't matter who it is, whether it's Jack White, whether it's Aerosmith, anybody. It's you find your audience, you find your people, and if you're going to let those people on the outside get to you, then this isn't the business for you to be in.
Yeah, exactly. Like Jim Jeffries. I think Jim Jeffries is outstanding too. Again, Hilarious. It's not my style. Right. I'm not dark like that, but I can certainly appreciate it. He's very funny, but he has a very good point where, like, you tell us, society tells us where the line is, and as comics, we go up to the line. Sometimes we cross the line, but if it's 10 years later and the line is moved to a different spot, you can't get mad at us for a joke that we said 10 years ago. So tell us where the line is now. So, and I sometimes, you see people like, oh, I'm sorry about that joke, but that was 10 years ago. It was a different time. I mean, you can say, oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I won't do that again. Right.
Yeah, it came out of my mouth. You want to go back and start digging through 10 years of, crap that I've said? Listen, you want to find something offensive? Go to the show I did last week. Just like, I'll save you some time. Go back and look at that video from last Wednesday. You'll find something that's going to piss you off on there. So it's like,
I've said some dumb shit. I've said some dumb stuff, but fine. Yeah, sorry about that. I won't say that one again. But
right.
Just accept that I said that, and now let's move on.
Well, and if somebody comes up after a show and says, well, I found that joke, that one thing that you did that was offensive, I'm like, now my response is, whoops.
Yeah, well, how was everything else? You liked everything else?
I'm like, I'm not going to apologize for you. Well, my sister was this, and I don't have your life story in front of me. I don't get the Carfax on every audience member. And if I did, I still wouldn't look at it because I don't give a shit. I'm doing my act. And so
exactly.
You're going to come here and you're going to laugh at every other, oddball, perhaps borderline inappropriate thing that I said. And now all of a sudden, this is going to be the one thing that's going to set you off. What you need to do is just finish your cocktail and leave and take it out on your significant other. And then,
oh my God.
Listen, guy, girl, whatever. You want to fight in the car on the way home because something that the comedian said was inappropriate and you laughed and they didn't? It's like, listen, that's on you. You know what? It's not, there's 300 people in the room, 299 laughed and you stared at me. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to like every song on an Alanis Morissette album.
I'm not going to like any song on an Alanis Morissette album. But,
I knew that was coming. I wanted to hear you say something.
Good. Perfect. That was just a softball right over the middle of the plate. I'm super stoked for you. You've got some cool gigs coming up here. Let's go ahead and pull up these dates that Jeff has coming up. Again, Jeff Bodart, find him when he's playing in your neck of the woods. You have these dates coming up here with Nick Swardson, who is very, very funny. You're going to be at Motor City Casino in Detroit on September 9th, the Old National Center in Indianapolis on September 10th, Carnegie Music Hall in Munhall, Pennsylvania on the 11th, and then going towards the end of the month, September 30th, at Hoyt Sherman Place in Des Moines, the Chicago Theater on October 1st, and the Orpheum Theater in Madison, Wisconsin on October the 2nd. All these dates in killer venues with comedian Nick Swardson. How did this relationship start up?
It's so funny because I was on Liberty of the Seas, which is a Royal Caribbean cruise ship, and it's literally the boarding day, the day you get on, and I get a message about an hour into my day, and it's from Nick Swardson. It says, "Hey, I'm on your ship," and I'm like, "What? I don't." All right, this is amazing. I mean, I don't know Nick Swardson. We probably have mutual friends, but I don't know him personally. And then I was like, "Oh, hey, man!" And then I've said to other comics, like even after almost 22 years of being a comedian, when somebody who is way above what you're used to, somebody who's a celebrity, a known celebrity, I don't always know how to act. It's like you kind of almost revert back to when you're a kid. It's like, I don't know what to say. So I had to take a beat, and I was like, oh, hey, man, come to my show. And he's like, yeah, we will. Because he was just on vacation with his friends and stuff. And so he came to the show, and he messaged me. He goes, hey, that was really funny. Come find us in the club upstairs. And I'm like, okay. So I found him. And by the way, I walk into this club. It's a dance club kind of thing. They're just hanging out and having a drink. And everybody on the dance floor just starts as I walk in. And I go, all right, I appreciate that. That was weird. So I go find him, and he goes, yeah, you're really funny.
That's cool. That's super cool.
He goes, he's like, you want to open for me on my tour? I'm like, yes, I do. So yeah, he's a really cool guy.
That was literally that was the first sentence out of his mouth. That is so badass. Yeah,
we just kind of talked and stuff, and for just it was like one of the first things he said. He's like, hey, you kind of go too fast. You step on your laughs a little bit, but you're really funny. Oh, I appreciate that. He goes, you want to open for me on my fall tour? I'm like, hell yes, I do. So comics talk,
Sure.
Celebrities talk, and I'm pretty good at BSing with people, but you never know. And then all of a sudden he goes, yeah, I'll get with you. And then like a week goes by, and he goes, hey, here are those dates I want you on. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's really cool. I'm really looking forward to it.
See, that is super cool. The fact that somebody actually came through. That's why I never want to be the type of person where if we're hanging out, we're working together, and I say, hey, listen, I think, do you work for so and so? No. Let me drop a word into, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And I hate being that person because I've had it done to me enough times where somebody talks a big game.
Oh.
And one of the people, like for me, was Kevin Pollak. I worked with him at the Comedy Zone in Charlotte, North Carolina years ago. And we were hanging out, like legitimately hanging out. Like between shows, we did like 2 shows Friday, 2 shows on Saturday. And he really liked my stuff, and we were hanging out. And he says, hey, he goes, get some video over to my production company. Let's see if we can't, work together on some stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, I'm like, this is pretty badass. This has got to be 2000, maybe 2002, something like that. So we're looking, so we're talking 20 years ago, 18 years ago. And so sure enough, he wrote down the production company, the phone number, called, emailed, sent stuff repeatedly. His assistant, answered the calls, oh, he's not here. We got the stuff, just one blow off after another. And that stuck with me. I never forgot that. Listen, even if you got the video that I sent and you go, listen, I don't think we have anything that's going to work right now. Appreciate you sending it over, blah, blah, blah. Have a nice day. But just no response back at all from him or his assistant in regards to anything. I'm like, you know what? That's kind of that's a douche move. And I'm like,
it really is. It's very unfortunate.
Yeah. It's like, if you say you're going to do it, do it. If you don't care for the other person, just don't bother talking to them. Or if you can talk to them,
right.
So don't go making promises that you're not going to deliver on. So,
yeah.
I think that's super cool.
I actually have a Kevin Pollak story too.
Let's hear it.
So we're working together. We worked together like in at the Improv in Chicago, and then we worked together Crackers just a couple months later. And this is several years ago. And then he goes, hey, here's my number. Text me, and maybe we can do something. Blah blah blah. Shows or whatever. And I a week goes by, and I text him just to say, hey, this is Jeff Bodart. I just want to say, hey. And then he goes. His response was something like quiet. Like that's all he said was just quiet. And I go, okay, I don't know. Does this mean he doesn't? So I'm like, well, obviously he's irritated now. So I can't text him again. So I don't know what the deal is. So it's just very odd. Like, why give me your number and tell me to text you, and then all of a sudden you just say quiet? I was like, I don't know what that means, but now I don't want to text you again.
So you didn't follow up on it?
No. I just like,
oh man, I would have thought I'd have thought you would have doubled down on it and went, all right, oh yeah, quiet? I'll be quiet when I say I'm going to be quiet. You're the one who told me to text you, you douche.
Right, exactly. Yeah, your mom's quiet.
Your mom, oh, that would have been great. That would have been awesome. He probably would have responded back.
He might, yeah. Me being a 14-year-old kid, a response, yeah, probably.
Listen, sometimes being juvenile has its benefits. You come back and reply with something so stupid, they have no choice but to go, okay, well, now I got to reply back to this guy.
Yeah, I should have done it.
That's beautiful. There's some other pictures that you had sent over. I want to pull these up. Sean, go ahead and pull up these pictures here that Jeff had sent, if you'd be so kind. This is, now where was, this is in Coral Gables. This is in Saugatuck, Michigan, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, how did you know that? How did you know that?
I know Michigan. I'm from Michigan. I've done that gig before. Who's the guy next to you here?
Mike Maxwell. He's a very funny kid out of, I think, Chicago, I think. He's very tall. I don't know if you can see that, but he's very tall. And
I noticed that because you're actually 6'8", and so he's
he's
7'7", just in case you're curious.
Yeah, I'm basically Andre the Giant, and he's a little taller than me. So yeah, he's a very funny kid and very a good guy.
Super cool. I guess I could have not been a tool bag and looked at the name at the bottom right-hand corner where it says the Mike Maxwell when I asked what his
That's
name
all right.
was. Okay.
No, and have you done Coral Gables lately?
No, I have not. Been a long time since I've been up there.
Yeah. It's a fun gig. Not worth the pay, but it's a good gig.
No, it is a fun gig. I've done it before years ago. It's always been a blast. What's the next photo here? What do we got here? This is okay. This is you. I know that's Cam Rowe in the middle, correct?
Oh yeah, very funny guy. And that's Corey. I've forgotten his last name all of a sudden, but he passed away.
Oh,
he passed away just a couple years ago. He's from out of Michigan.
So sad. I mean, great, good guy, and I can't. And now I feel like a complete idiot forgetting his last name.
Yeah, Melissa Hager. I met him through Melissa Hager, who's a good lady, and he was such a good guy, very funny, and just one of those. Man, it was like you're hanging out with a buddy from high school because he's still a smartass. You know that feeling. So
he was an entertainment writer, if I'm not mistaken, for Metro Times. He did a podcast with Joel Fragomeni, another comic out of Detroit. Now I'm going to see. I got to pull up this. I got to pull this up because I swear I've got his. I still have his name. You ever have like a contact in your phone of somebody who is now no longer with us, and you just and you scroll past that number every so often, and you go, ew, yeah, ugh. I don't know what you feel horrible, and I think I deleted his contact. All right, okay, I'm an idiot, but
you feel like I'm disrespecting the dead.
Yeah, I deleted the dead guy's contact.
Yeah,
like his Spectrum cable. You know. All right, not getting last month's bill. Doink.
Yeah.
All right, the next picture here.
Mm-hmm.
This is this. Okay, this looks like this is one of two things, Jeff. I know exactly where this picture was taken. I know where it's at, but this looks like a band at Lollapalooza, and you're the manager.
Yes, I am.
This is
I'm
like
1/6. I'm getting 1/6.
An Island of Misfit Toys photo.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like,
there's the Charlie in the Box, the Train with Square Wheels. I mean, the whole crew. And I know a few of the people in this picture. Steve McAnally, who puts his gig on, it's over at barbecue joint in downtown Vegas. And then this is now the individual on the far right. When you met him / her. How do they introduce themselves to you?
I don't.
You don't remember?
Well, I didn't know their name first, but I saw on the list, and it was I think a lady's name, and listen. I'm one of those people. I don't care if you're trans or whatever. Just tell me what you want me to call you, and refer to you as. I don't care.
Yes.
But
no, 100%.
But then I refer to her as a her after the show. It's like, hey, good set, blah blah blah, and somebody, I said, yeah, she was funny or something like that, and somebody else was like, she, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm assuming because I don't know, just.
I'm totally putting you on the spot. His name is David Lee, and he does this alter ego personality, Kitty Pineapple.
Yes,
yes, and he's a bodybuilder. He's a personal trainer.
Oh, okay.
And this is now. Is this? I think I'm old, Jeff. I'm 56, and I mean, listen.
Okay.
If you're going to go ahead and you want to go ahead and get in this, ensemble, here in a city like Las Vegas or anywhere for that matter, it doesn't matter where you're from.
Mm-hmm.
Las Vegas, a little more accepting than probably, say, Topeka, Kansas, I'm guessing.
Sure. I would take that.
Is this an age thing that I don't get this? Sean, our producer, who is in Florida, Sean Schultz. Sean, come on. Sean's like 20. Sean, what are you, 21, 22?
Yeah, 21, and you gotta be committed to do that shit.
You can't just walk out with like one heel.
Yeah, you gotta get both.
Yeah, you gotta have the heels, and then you gotta do the whole ensemble. It's not like you can't half-ass it. So let's go back and pull the full picture.
True.
Pull the full picture again, Sean. See now, Jeff, you can just wear the shirt, untucked, and not do the tie.
Yeah, that's true.
Kitty cannot just wear the heels and then not do the makeup and the hair to go with it.
Yeah, it's a full thing. I mean, you gotta commit to it. But I don't care.
I know. Do whatever makes you happy. But here's what's funny.
Yeah.
I did not know that David was doing this character a while ago. And then all of a sudden I see this I see him pop up in this alter ego, and I went, what? Huh? And then someone said, oh, yeah, that's David Lee. And I know the guy, and he is jacked. I mean, the dude is built like a cornerback in the NFL. And I went,
yeah.
All right, that makes you happy. Go for it.
And from what I remember, I don't know if he or she, I'm sorry, but they did really well.
I just like watching you stumble over yourself getting your pronouns right.
Yeah, I didn't ask them what they wanted.
No, he's a funny guy. Whatever persona he wants to put on stage, by all means, go for it. Knock yourself out. Like I said, if you're happy and you're making other people laugh and they're having a good time, that's all that matters. So,
absolutely,
that's it.
But that was a fun gig, man. That actually was a fun.
It was a fun little gig. They do a really nice job there at the. I think it's the guy from Pawn Stars owns that joint. So
yeah.
Okay, Sean, we can.
I didn't get to meet any of them.
Sean, we can take. No, they weren't there, Sean. We can take that. Okay, cool. There we go. Got it. Who has made it in this business that surprised you?
Oh, that is a great question. I'm actually surprised I still know the name Dat Fan. So. I mean,
I'll give you that.
I mean, I know his name. I haven't really seen his act, and I've heard he's an incredibly nice guy. But I don't know if he's funny. I haven't seen his act, but I do remember that was the first Last Comic Standing, and then I heard a lot, and it was in the beginning of what? That was what, 01, 02? Something like that? 03?
Yeah, it's been a long time ago. Yeah, the fact that you even still have that recollection or the recall on it. But I think it was more because it was so incredulous. Because his name is so unique. But then the fact that he won, and that blew everybody away. I mean, anybody who's been, that was your selection? Okay.
It was one of those things
not what I would have thought.
Yeah, I remembered it mostly because all the comics bitching about him winning it. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, he had probably 15, 20 minutes of actual material. And but shit, Brad Garrett only had 20 minutes of material when he won Star Search, and I love Brad Garrett. I mean, that guy's amazing. So, whatever. But I had another one I was actually kind of surprised. You know what? I was actually kind of surprised at the time that he was making it. You know, remember when Bo Burnham was coming up through YouTube? And
his albums
Bo
are
Burnham?
still crazy. I've heard of the guy. It's musical comedy, correct? I've not seen or heard his stuff.
I was one of those.
To my knowledge, it's all songs.
Yeah, it's all songs. And at the time, mind you, I was one of those comics with. There's a lot of us just bitching about Bo Burnham, not him, not like quote unquote earning it. But then I realized this kid's funny and he's talented and he can sing. And it's not easy writing songs. He's not writing parodies. He's writing original songs.
Right.
So, and I totally respect the dude now. So, no,
very much like a Pat Godwin. Like Pat Godwin's hilarious. One of the funniest guys, and like his songs are all originals that he puts together.
I love
his
Pat.
Stage act. Yeah, in his stage act, he'll do some parodies and stuff like that. But for the most part, all of his albums are all original, funny, comedy written song or comedy songs. And
absolutely.
That he puts together, and he just does a brilliant job with it. So, it's funny how
I texted Pat.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I texted Pat one day, and I just told him how good I thought he was, and I actually enjoy Pat Godwin's voice too. I think the dude can actually sing really well.
No, very good. Super, super talented. What as we wrap up here, by the way, JeffBodart.com is Jeff's website. See him on tour with Nick Swardson and see Jeff when he is performing on Royal Caribbean and also at comedy clubs in your neck of the woods. What is your worst gig? I love asking this story.
Listen, I have two, and I've told people this, and then as I was thinking of the regular worst gig story that I have, I also thought of another one, and I was like, son of a bitch, I hated that one too. The regular one that I tell people all the time, because I've gotten this question before, there is a hotel in Paducah, Kentucky, and it was a gig that was booked by Jeff Batts, nice guy. And he booked himself to headline, and I was opening at the time, as featuring, and it's just him and I, just a 2-man show. And he wanted, I'm supposed to be doing 30 minutes, and he said he'll take care of the rest. And at the time, this is probably 03, probably 2 years into stand up, and probably shouldn't have been featuring, but I was. And then I get off stage, and I'm on stage, but I'm just eating it. I'm just not having a good set. I saw one guy with a hook for a hand instead of it was some sort of horrific accident. But I, again, being the young early 20s kid, I was like, hey, how the hell do you clap? And it's like, oh, that's bringing the house down. And he just slaps his lap, and I was like, oh, okay, all right. Now I feel like a dick, and I just not having a good set. And then I get off stage, and I introduce Jeff Batts. He goes, what are you doing? I go, I did my 30th. You're supposed to get up. He goes, you did like 8. I go, what? He goes, you did like 8 minutes. And I go, no, I didn't. And I look at my watch, and I go, son of a bitch! So...
yes!
So he gets back on stage himself, warms up the crowd for me, and then I get on stage and finish my feature set.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty awful.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, that's a hard lesson to learn. Somebody had a great comment one time when when they ask a comedian, they go, "Hey, how much time do you have?" And someone's, "Oh, I got an hour." They're like, "Oh yeah, how much time do you have when they hate you?" And that is a way better question, because that clock just goes tick, 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 with every joke that bombs, and every person that stares at you, and every person that says you suck. Yeah, that's a much better question. How much time do you have when they hate you? And no one can answer it. Everybody stops in their tracks and they go, "Oh, I didn't think about that." I'm like, "Yeah, that's something."
And of course they didn't.
You do 8 minutes and then get brought back up. The fact that he brought you back up, and the fact that you pulled another 22 minutes out of your ass, good for you.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right. Talking about hard lesson to learn, but I had to learn that lesson. I had to go through that, so it was mortifying and embarrassing. But whatever, I got paid, so
that's that's all. You're eyeing the prize. You're eyeing the check.
Yeah, I got booked to do a corporate gig. This is again many years ago. I got booked to do a corporate gig for like a lunchtime thing. I don't know.
The worst.
It was at actually I live around the corner from it. It's called the Foundation for Youth, and the Boys and Girls Club. And we're in this side room. They're having a lunch, and maybe 2 people are having a great time, and there's like maybe 40 people in there having a lunch, and they're all eating. They want me to perform. First of all, performing while everybody is eating is not fun. But then also, yeah, it is. And also, it's in, like, there's nothing but windows in this place, so it's all bright, because comedy doesn't work in the daytime, first of all. It just feels weird. So the sun is shining through, and I'm like, this sucks. In my head, I'm like, how long do I have to be up here? But it was nothing major. It was just uncomfortable. And I got my check, and then skedaddled. But there's a famous story by a friend of mine. Dan Davidson, comedian Dan Davidson.
I've heard his name. I think I might have run into him at some point during my career.
He's very funny. He lives out in Denver now. No, New Mexico, but goes to Denver because he's an actor now. He's been in a lot of movies now.
Right.
Anyway, so I don't want to. I mean, I'll just tell it's his story. But he told me one time he's doing a corporate gig, and the owner of the business is talking about, thanks for coming. A lot of God, a lot of Jesus, a lot of like Christian stuff, like stuff.
Oh no,
saying stuff, and he goes, "All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring our comedian up, Dan Davidson or whatever." And Dan gets up there and he goes, "What's up with that first guy?" And by the way, Dan didn't know at first that was like the owner or the CEO or whatever. He goes, "What's up with that first guy?" Jesus, this blah 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 blah. just sort of shitting on him.
Oh no!
And then nothing. Like his whole set, nothing. So he, couldn't get a laugh. And then got the check and just skipped out of there.
He didn't skedaddle. He just skipped.
Yeah, he's like,
he didn't even skip. He ran out the door. Oh man.
Yeah, that's ballsy to do that, but I wouldn't have done that. But
what's up with the last guy? Jesus, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I know. Oh, and let me get one last thing. Sorry, one last thing. So I'm doing this firefighters dinner thing. They're honoring one of the fallen firefighters, and it's a fun gig. It's actually me and a buddy of mine are doing the gig, and it's fun. And I do like 20 minutes or so up front, and he's doing the other 20 or whatever. And but we're not in the room for a lot of the ceremony stuff. But I was sort of peeking my eye in the crack of the door, and I kind of heard some stuff, but he didn't hear anything. So there's somebody sitting like in the front row, and they've got this big placard, like a big like a cardboard thing with a person's name on it and stuff. Well, they were naming a firefighter who passed away. They naming like some sort of station after this firefighter. And my buddy was up there the whole time going, why the hell do you have a business card that big? And it was just, he just kept going on and on about this sign with the guy's name on it. And then even the guy who booked us was like, dude. And he just keeps going on. I mean, I got to tell you, you whip out a business card that big, they're really going to remember you just from the size of the business card. It's just, oh my God. And just, we're all so, and like, read the room, man. Like, it was so funny. Oh yeah. In retrospect, pretty funny. But
you had me laughing your ass off. I'd have been in the back just rolling. I love that. I love when someone goes in and they just have this cocky attitude, like, all gigs are the same, and this is how I come in, I do my thing, blah, 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 and if I'm going to make inappropriate jokes, I'm just going to do it. It's like, no, you got to, especially in those situations, you have got to be aware of what's going down. Because,
he ended up saving himself. There was,
he'd have to save himself. There's no firefighter in that room that's going to save him now.
No, not really, no.
He would have to, if his house caught on fire around the corner from there, he would have to put it out himself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
No one in there is going to bail him out. That's too funny. No. Jeff Bodart, man, I can't thank you enough for your time, my friend. You're hilarious. Great to catch up with you as always. JeffBodart.com is his website. See him with Nick Swardson appearing at a number of fantastic venues all over the country coming up this fall. And again, see him on Royal Caribbean and also at comedy clubs, wherever you get a chance. Again, JeffBodart.com. Grab his albums as well. My friend, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good times, man. Thanks. Jeff Bodart, my guest today here on A Drink with Derek. And make sure you get a chance to come and see me. I've got some shows coming up here, as I mentioned earlier. September 9th over at the Winter's Circle in Lakeland, Florida. And then September 10th over at the Sunrise Black Box Theater in Fort Pierce. And then some great shows coming up with Dave Landau. September 30th at the Lexington Village Theater in Lexington, Michigan. And October 1st in Bay City, Michigan over at the State Theater. And also grab a copy of my album, Double Down, iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon. Can't thank you enough for listening, watching the podcast. Subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Also, we are on Rumble as well. We will see you next time. Appreciate you. Take care. Bye.
Thanks for listening to A Drink with Derek. Find out when Derek is appearing near you by checking out DerekRichards.com. See you next time for A Drink with Derek.